Yay! Hi guys. Hey, got you. Look at us.
I'm
We're
great.
actually dressed.
Yay, clothes on.
I know. I had to go grab water real quick. So I was like, oh crap, I gotta go. Oh my
For
goodness.
reference, we just spoke like 45 minutes ago and we were both just out of the shower like, oh my
Oh,
God.
oh, it's on my story. I posted a picture like, oh my God. Like, I don't care. Yeah. It's not pretty, but whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, that's it.
What time is it over there right now?
It's 8 p.m.
Oh, that's almost
Yeah,
bedtime.
so it's dark outside already. It's Friday night. Yeah.
But you don't even sleep, I've noticed. Like you're up all hours, like I'll be asleep or I'm up early or I'm up late and you're still awake. Like I've noticed you just don't sleep.
I don't know. I do. I suppose sometimes I keep odd hours. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I see a couple people on here. So let me just for one, I just want to thank you for being patient with timing. I know we had to figure out scheduling. It's been a interesting past couple of weeks. So I appreciate that. Your patience, definitely, it's appreciated. We had a little bit of scheduling issue. But for everybody watching right now, I just wanted to introduce you guys to Laura. She hails from, it's Derry, correct?
Derry, yeah.
Derry, Ireland, you guys. This is so neat. So, okay, so the interesting thing about the syndicate right now, it has actually changed the algorithm. So I have been able to cross paths with women from all over the world. And we've crossed paths, and it's very interesting because now this is our opportunity to actually see how welding translates in different countries, which is a perfect opportunity to have you on the show. So with that being said, welcome. This is Laura. Um, First off, of course, we just want to know, how did you get into welding?
Okay, so I started welding. I didn't start till I was like 31, and it's been really interesting since I have really been seeking out other women welders on Instagram in particular because, like, the same with you, Tiffany, like, you didn't start to your 30s as well.
Right.
So many of us I'm finding do something else first and then kind of realize, just have an honest word with ourselves and go, actually, I want to do something else. And I was no different. So I was an event manager for
Right.
like my whole 20s. That was my whole thing. Um, when I was leaving school, I wanted to do a trade. I wanted to do something like with my hands. And I think that like if you're a guy and you're like, oh, I want to do something like that, they're like, oh yeah, all right. But then quite often with girls, it's like, well, you don't know what you want, so like go to college,
Right.
and you kind of
Yes.
get pushed down this kind of safer route, and that's what happened to me. So I did that for 10 years, and then I moved. I was living in Dublin, and I moved to a different part of Ireland, and I just couldn't get work anywhere. And it gave me some time out to kind of reassess things. Now I couldn't quite tell you how the stars lined up that this happened, but there happened to be this really awesome welding course run by the local education board. It was like I was like living in rural Ireland, right up on the northwest coast, as far as you can go, middle of nowhere, and they had this awesome welding course. Like it's the Donegal ETB, the training board, and can't recommend it enough. Like every booth is kitted out. You have like everything you could need, all the consumables, and you literally sit in a booth for like 4 or 5 months until you can do it. And that's just the basic welding course.
Right.
So like I had never welded in my life, and somehow I just was like, I've got time. I'm gonna try this thing, and it really spoke to me. I found I was good at it, and I really surprised myself, and I just went from there. So I did that was the basic course. They do an intermediate, and then they do coated pipe. So I progressed through each of those. So I think like I did those over a couple of years, but like back to back, you would be training for like, yeah, like 4 or 5 months for each one. So that's like a year and a bit, you know.
Right.
And there's like no classroom in it, so like my technical knowledge could probably be better, but for hands-on stuff, like you're literally in there from not being able to do it to being able to like do it and smash all your tests. So yeah, I'm so lucky that that resource was there, and yeah, it's just given me this new career that I really love.
And it's so interesting that you went into pipe welding. This is why we are here. Like, we are in love with your work. I, for one, think pipe welders are like the metal magicians of the industry. And I'm trying to go to school for pipe welding. So when I saw your page, I was like, oh my word, I'm completely in love. Your work is just impeccable. And we were actually talking, the ladies and I were talking on the backside of the syndicate, and they were actually asking about the courses, how long, what codes do you weld by? So you can't talk enough about the schooling. Like, everybody is very much interested in how that translates in Ireland.
Mm. So Ireland, it's an interesting one. They don't have an apprenticeship for welding. Like they have it for like every other trade, really, but not for welding. And I know that there's been like discussion at kind of government level about that, but as it stands, there isn't one. I mean, you know, in a way, like it kind of fast tracked me a little bit that I, in a short space of time, went straight into something as specific as pipe welding, which is awesome because I love it. Um, but like, so where I am, I'm technically living in Northern Ireland now, right, which is part of the UK, like with England, Scotland, and Wales.
Right.
Um, but like, I could walk to the border of Ireland from my house, and
Oh,
so for the south of Ireland, you know, which is like treated like a different country, like they have a different government and stuff, and I learned to weld in the south of Ireland. Okay. I'll try not to make this too boring,
no, 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 it's
but
not
I'm
personal.
so now that I've been working in the north of Ireland, and like pretty much everybody that I would work with, you know, like every workshop, there's like tons of apprentices and stuff, and
Sure.
they're all doing like welding and pipe fitting apprenticeships. So it's like a different system that they go through, you know. Um, so yeah, it's we kind of live in two jurisdictions, and it's a bit strange, you know. Like we would do the same codes. Like you have to be able to do like a schedule 40 pipe in 6G position to get your codes, and you know that like you have to pass the same things.
Right.
But it's just a wee bit different.
Now, how does, like, so you go through your program, how does it translate? Is there any difference for a woman going through it? Do they support women in trades there?
There's no difference, no. So Ireland like has a pretty small population. We're like I think we're like 4 point something million. Don't
Hmm.
quote me on that, but you know it's small. Um, and yeah, there isn't really a formal sort of supporting women in trades. I see sometimes like Apprenticeships Ireland pushes sort of female stuff on their social media, which is great. Like a personal friend of mine is this awesome woman called Jen Kelly, and she set up the Women in Trades Network Ireland.
Right.
And she like worked her backside off. You know, she's so awesome. She's an industrial abseiler. So she
Hmm.
like abseils like off bridges and into dams, and you know she
Cool.
does all her stuff. She's so cool. But you know, Jen was doing this, and she set up this awesome network, which is like just a great place to have support and a sounding board and all that. But like, it's proved really difficult to get like real financial support and all that stuff, you know. So it's on a wee bit of a hiatus right now. Jen's out of the country working.
Hmm.
Um, it's still active,
Hmm.
but it's not like anything that's implemented like at government level, or as far as I'm aware, there aren't any specific initiatives to to support women, as far as I know.
What about in the workplace? How well is it received when you go on a job?
Um, See, from like just hearing like all the stories of other women, like across the world, like you in California, just everywhere. I think we have a lot of the same challenges, will I say? Um, yeah, I mean, largely, by and large, it's been fine, and as long as you um, have your codes and you can do your job and you're effective, then it's okay. I think, but in Ireland, like in general, we would face a lot of the same challenges, maybe microaggressions and
Right,
all
right.
that stuff. So I think it's pretty universal.
Yeah, that stinks. I was hoping it was going to be better. I mean, you
I
never know.
mean, I think attitudes are changing definitely for the better. I'm sure we all feel that, but yeah, there are challenges for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. That is very, very true. Well, it's funny because I was like thinking, well, maybe they support women a little bit more. And it's not necessarily that, the states are 100% against women. It just seems like there's definitely an inequality. And even if you're the best welder out there, there's still going to be some dude that just thinks that we should not be there. So I always tend to ask the question in some form, because it's nice to hear from different parts of the world. So that's kind of
Mm,
the interest on my part.
mm,
Hold on, I
that's
have
it.
P.S. I have to say this one. So I did get a little message from a friend. His name is Bob Moffat, and he said he's a huge fan of your work. I told him he said that you're killing it, and he's a fan. He loves your work, so I wanted to make sure I passed on the message to you.
Oh, I'm not crying, you're crying.
How cool is that to have recognition from somebody like that, though? Correct? Like, wow.
That is so awesome, Bob. Thank you so much. Like literally yesterday, I spent a good bit of my afternoon learning how to make a fire pit from weld.com from Bob
Very
himself.
cool.
So that just makes my day. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, I know he's gonna see this eventually. If he doesn't, I believe he's teaching class right now. So let me see. I'm trying to look at my notes on it. Let me see. I'm very, very, very. Oh, I know somebody. One of the ladies just put this right now. She asked if you do code welding API or ASME.
Uh, Jesus.
That's Anne. Hi, Anne. I'm trying to wave.
Hi, Anne. You know what? I can't even recall offhand. I would need to look at my search, but I can do that and I'll pop it in the comments afterwards. How's that?
Also, another question from Anne. I know this is the funniest thing. So I was going and asking the ladies what they wanted to hear, and one of them point blank just asked, "How did you get so good at being a TIG hand? Like your work is so slick. We have been just drooling over it." So you're saying that you've had so much hood time at school, but clearly, holy moly, girl, like your work is impeccable.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you. Um, Genuinely, like it is practice. Like there's nothing magical about me. It's literally I started off like everyone, and I was shit, and I sat there until I was not shit. And I
Right.
just, like genuinely, I remember with TIG weld in particular, like I could not. I'm left-handed, so I could not get feeding, could not get it at all. My hands are fairly steady, so I used to just snip my rod in half and then just like hold it out here and just bring my whole arm in, and burn it in that way.
Yeah.
And eventually, I just it just came.
Sure.
But there's no magic to it. Like one thing I would say is that and yeah, I'll probably get all metaphysical and weird, so like fasten your seatbelts,
No, no,
children.
I'm here for it.
Like I feel like with welding, there's a kind of magic to it that sometimes when you just get in that flow state, there's nothing like it. There's no feeling like it in the world when it's just you and it's this little puddle of molten metal, and you can just, you know, ask that nicely to do your will, and it just does it, and it just paints in there beautifully. It's the best feeling in the world, and I wish everybody could feel that.
I
Um, yeah. Isn't it? Isn't it, Tiffany? It's the best
Yeah,
thing.
that's the best. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was well said right there. I completely felt that. There was nothing weird about it.
And so I know that say for tests or if something's really critical, if it's like 100% X-ray and it needs to be good, like I definitely there are things that help me to get there and to get to that state. And one of them is just breathing.
Yeah.
So you tend to like you gear yourself up for something and you sort of hold your breath, you don't even realize it, and your whole body kind of tightens.
Mm-hmm.
So I purposefully make myself exhale, do a big
Right.
long exhale, and then it's like everything loosens, and then your feet and hand loosens, and it just all gets better. But the other thing, like I started doing this really unconsciously when in my basic course, I remember this. If I had a test day and I'm all nervous and stuff, I would just like think good things. And not about the welding, I would think about my best mate who's called Marta, and I would just like think about all the kick ass things she's doing, and I would just wish her well. And then I would just like have a smile on my face and I would relax into it. And it's the same thing. Like, I still, like, now I have like a daily practice of gratitude where like I have a journal and each morning I write down like the stuff that I'm grateful as hell for,
Right.
and that really sets me up like for a good day. And I think it to myself when I'm striking an arc, and
Yeah.
especially when it's something that's really really important and needs to be right. And that there's some kind of magic in that just when you kind of pour that love out there, then it gets poured into the well too, and it just works better for you.
No, it does. You make conscious on every single level. It's funny because one lady just said, Tiffany told me about breathing. I actively teach this to my students because you kind of like tense up like it's going to make a better weld and you don't breathe. Well, it's not going to be a good weld if you pass out. You know what I mean? So you have to actively like listen to your body, loosen up and breathe. But no, that's very well said. Trust me. I'm all for the breathing. I don't know
Mm.
why, like, I still do it sometimes. I want to hear it, or I'm talking to somebody, or I don't know the situation. I still do sometimes not breathe.
Mm.
No, it's not a good practice. That's for darn sure. We have someone saying
Yeah.
hi from Peru. That's very cool. Hi, guys. Well, not just on test day. But you should always be doing X-ray quality welds all the time, not just on test day. This is very true.
Absolutely.
Now, do you only pipe weld? Are you just a TIG welder? What is your main process that you do?
Yeah, that's it. So I've been a bit of a one trick pony for the last while.
Stop,
I've been
stop.
doing TIG welding the last year or two, and it's been all TIG. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. I know Anne is like in heaven right now. One of the ladies on here right now. She's like in all jazz waiting for this one. Okay, so I know you just posted recently. It was a picture of a guy in a suit and you guys were doing VR training. You want to
Mm.
explain what's going on there?
Yeah, so that was at my training center that I mentioned, right?
Mhm.
And I've done like a few sort of demos at trade shows since with some Lincoln gear. So VR welding, so you have like a big welder
Mhm.
machine, but
Mhm.
it's like a computer. And you have your helmet, but inside the screen that you would look through, it's like a little TV screen,
Mhm.
and you see what you would see when you're welding. So they have like plastic, let's say like if it's a T-fillet or something,
Mhm.
they have plastic ones. So that would be set up in front of you, and then you have like your MIG torch or your TIG gun or whatever, because they can do all different processes. It's mind blowing. But yeah, say like if you have your MIG gun and
Mhm.
you have your trigger there and stuff, so you put the nozzle like where it's gonna go and you pull the trigger and you start moving along. And in your screen, and you can also hook up a TV to it so that other people can see what you're seeing. Um, Obviously there's nothing coming out,
Right.
but you move along and every variable is like it shows up in the
Cool.
weld. Like on your little screen, you can see that metal coming out, and you can see it being welded, and it looks like you're welding. there's also like the crackle, right? So yeah, it's mental.
I know. Well,
It's
I'm like super interested because we're getting ready to implement this into my classroom. And so I've never had any experience with it. And then you had that post. So I was like, oh my God, I got to hear about it. Like, it sounds amazing.
yeah, like I was really skeptical to start with because you know, when you weld, you're kind of like, like
Right.
how can this work? But yeah, it definitely does. Everything that you do, it affects the outcomes. So say like if your travel speed, if you're going too quick or too slow, it shows up, or the spatter does, or you know, if you're going to do something that's like going to give you porosity, it shows
Sure.
up. It's mental. Um, and yeah, like they can
How does the
do
process go for recording? Does it actually give you like a printout or you can see it on the screen afterwards? How does it work for that?
exactly, yeah. So it's if say for a T fillet, if you got to the end of the T fillet,
Mhm.
then you can go back and you can look at how you did. So it'll show you the piece and you can like rotate it, you know, like a 3D thing. So
Uh-huh.
you can see the profile of it, everything, and it'll show you like a graph for like just all the different variables, you know, for like your torch
Yep.
angle and just everything, your contact to work, your travel speed, just everything.
Cool.
And it's mad the way it works for the different processes too. Like so with stick, for example, so you have your stinger there, and like um, so it has like if you start off like that, and that's your stinger. There are two little rollers in here, so that as you move along, your electrode burns down. So it kind of feeds out
Right.
the back there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really cool. And the one thing that I wasn't super into was the TIG thing, because like you just have, it looks like a knitting needle, you know, and you dab at it, so there's no feeding the rod. And like we talked about, that for me was like a big thing to get down, you know. So I don't think that's as authentic an experience, but the rest of it I think is really cool. And definitely you want to learn welding from actually welding, but I do think this has great application for absolute beginners. And the reason is like, you see, like, so, I mean, you teach a class, Tiffany, like, so I'm sure you go around to like each student and you check on them and all that, but like there's one of you and there's multiple students.
Right.
So if a student is having, you know, their weld is a big mess, there's so many variables with welding, you know, it could be your travel speed, or your angle, your
Right.
amperage, or, you know, it could be all these different things. And for an absolute beginner, they can be totally lost, like I know I was. So with this, it'll actually, you can have little guidelines as you weld live to show you, no, you need to slow down, or you need to change your amps, or you know, it tells you absolutely everything. So you can go from knowing nothing at all to having everything exactly how it should be, like very quickly. Does that
Oh
make
my
sense?
goodness. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not as skeptical now. Like I was seriously thinking like, no, hood time is the best. We don't need a robot, blah, blah, blah. But no, this makes 100% sense. Like I love it. I love this.
Yeah, so like I think for
It's a
beginner
great
students,
supplement, it sounds like.
say it again.
It sounds like a really great supplement.
Yeah, totally. I think it definitely has its applications there, you know, and especially like when, you know, teaching welding is expensive, like just in consumables, you know, so like if someone even had a week at that to just get their head around a few variables at once, it could be like really, really helpful. But
What?
also like VR welding is really cool just for like trade shows and stuff. So like I did it at a big trade show called Ireland Skills Live, and like I got loads of like schoolgirls to try it out who like would have, you know, if it was just a thing about like a booth about welding, like they wouldn't have probably come near me.
Right.
But like I was like, hey, come here, stick this on your head, you know, try this. And then they
Sure.
were like, whoa, you know, like I'm gonna look into this, and that's so cool. Because I know, like, for a lot of people, you know what the term welding means. It's like, oh yeah, you stick metal together, but they don't know what it looks like
Right.
or what's involved or anything. So if you actually like, you're like, stick this on your head and hold this, and they like, run a bead along there, and they're like, oh, maybe I could do this, you know?
Yes, I didn't even think of it that way. That's a great application right there. You've completely, if you were the manufacturing of this, you completely sold me right now.
Okay,
Wow,
boom.
I love it. Because so what type of machines do you guys use out there?
Do you mean for like for the VR thing or just in general?
General, in general.
Oh, it really depends, It's like I'm self-employed and I would kind of work in different workshops wherever. So, like a lot of the last place I was, they use a lot of like big, really old millers, like from kind of the 80s and 90s, which is super cool.
That is,
Um, yeah, a lot of Lincoln Electric, you would see.
and you
Yeah.
hear that? I have a super Lincoln fan on here.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it just depends, where you are.
Which VR brand did you use?
I used in that training center initially, they had one called Soldomatic.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm not too familiar with the company other than that, and then I used Lincoln Electric as well.
Hmm. Darn, we have a Miller coming to our class, so still know nothing about it, but apparently I'll be getting training on it.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sure it,
excited.
it will be epic
So
though, I'm sure it will.
that's gonna be so cool. I'm so excited about that. Like that was the main reason. I know I love your pipe welding. You seem so magical with me. Your skills are impeccable. But I saw that VR training. I was all, I have to ask her about it. What a perfect segue to get you into an interview. Look at
Oh, thank you.
Lincoln. I see you, Anne. So with that being said, I really love that what you just said about getting girls because it's less intimidating because there's no fire, there's no spatter, it's not like, oh my God, I'm gonna burn myself. They can actually feel, what it feels like to be under the hood without like, the danger of it quite yet until you get the passion for it. So that's a really interesting way to introduce people. I love that.
Absolutely, yeah. And when you have your Miller gear, like, maybe you'll have opportunities like that to take it to education fairs or, just different things. Well, maybe when the world kind of is opening back up, but I
One
find
day.
that application really good to just be in places where people aren't thinking about welding and
Yeah.
show them what it's actually about and show them that they could kick ass at it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'll be sending this to my school because they're going to be super excited to hear about this one. Awesome.
Awesome.
Oh, Sparks, we have a Miller Live Arc and it's great. That's what we're getting. I can't wait. So with that being said, with the introduction, what was it's the Ireland Skills. What is it called again?
Oh, that event was Ireland Skills Live. So
So what is
um,
that?
that is it's like the trade Olympics and like loads of countries partake and America does too.
Skills
It may have a
USA.
slightly different name for it. Is it America's Skills Live
No,
or
it's just Skills USA.
Skills USA? That's the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would have like heats in that, and then the winners would go to like the trade Olympics. So it was Moscow, was it in
Oh wow,
2019? Yeah, yeah.
that's cool. I won my gold in Skills USA.
Oh, yeah, of course you did. Yeah. Oh my God, I was nothing. Come on, I'm like talking to like an Olympian here.
I never went. No, 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 not even close. No, I never got to go to this. I won state. We didn't get to go to the next level. I think, yeah, definitely not world. I think the next one was going to be like in Kentucky. I don't remember what it was, but funding and timing, it just didn't allow for it through the school. So unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I still got to participate, which was a huge event. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and that's such an achievement. Like,
Oh, thank you. Lincoln Vertex. Everybody's on the VR right now. Love it. Can you see the comment?
I oh yeah, I can actually if I move my finger on it. Oh my God, her accent, thank you.
Muscle memory. Oh, okay.
Hey
So
guys.
Lisa was asking about your opinion on muscle memory, as far as VR is concerned. Do you think it helps with muscle memory?
Yeah, I think it absolutely could. Yeah, just so especially in terms of like keeping your angles, that
Mhm,
kind of thing.
mhm,
Um, I think that the best applications for it are like when someone's like a total noob,
mhm.
right? And they haven't done it before. So I think, yeah, for getting the basics down and things like your travel speed and keeping your angle consistent and that, yeah, absolutely. Um, so the I mentioned the TIG thing that it's not really going to help with that, but who knows? The technology is changing all the time and it's getting
Sure.
better. So maybe they already have on the
It's
Miller. I
something,
don't know,
yeah.
but
You never know.
um, yeah, but yeah, I think it definitely could help with that.
Oh, interesting. Oh my gosh, you have guys, it completely inspired me now because I was really, really like very skeptical. I mean, I could see it as far as like, because we have downtime because we have students who share a booth and it's 10-to-1 ratio. And like you said, it gets real crazy in the classroom when it's just one person, especially in the beginning when they're just barely learning fundamentals. So this is a nice way to supplement what you're telling them. They can actually get feedback on what they are or are not doing so they can adjust accordingly. So in between downtime, this will allow them to have less downtime and then practice like Lisa is saying on muscle memory or the different variables that they need to be learning. Oh my word, I'm so excited about this. So excited. I didn't know I was
Yeah,
gonna
I think you'll
but
enjoy it.
yeah. Arc length. I'm just reading the comments, don't mind me. We have Lincoln VR text is also great. World skills. A good melt. Yeah, yeah. I could have got more, I think. I would have hoped I wanted to go all the way. But yeah, that wasn't in the cards for me, unfortunately. That would have been fun.
Mm.
I think
Mm.
the world skills ended up being in Russia that year. Russia? I believe so. Wow, that would have been fun.
Mm. Mm.
There's no way, man. So let's see. Introducing, I always like to hear the aspect of introducing young ladies to welding. What type of advice would you give to a younger woman who maybe wants to do something different or isn't 100% set in what she's doing in her life? If she wants to take a little detour, what kind of advice would you give her if she was looking to do that and then get into welding? It's hard.
I think it would be that you need to absolutely trust your gut. You need to absolutely listen to yourself. Um, because like for me and for a lot of women who are now welders, like yourself, Tiffany, you we get brought up doubting ourselves
Mhm.
and we get told it's reinforced very often that we don't know our own mind. So unless you're absolutely sure that maybe you're leaving school and it's like, I want to be a welder and my dad's a welder and my granddad was a welder and I've been welding since I was 5, then they'll be like, all right, maybe.
Right.
But if you're just like, I sort of think I want to like do something manual, they'll be like, no, no, you don't. It's dirty, and so
You don't want to
if
break
you,
a nail.
yeah, this is it, and like that's just not true, and it's not fair. So I would just urge any young woman who has, even if it's just a notion, a half-baked notion that maybe you want to try something like this, listen to it and find a way to find out more about it. Watch some YouTube. If possible, like go talk to your training center and maybe if anyone you know knows anyone that welds, if you could go and even see what that's about. Or if it's for any other trade as well, just explore it. Because you're when you go into a trade, you will be doubted a lot, and you will get lots of stupid questions and dumb comments. Unfortunately, like that is getting better, and I really hope that it gets better as decades go on. But as things stand, like you will get lots of bullshit thrown at you, so you need to be on your side,
Yeah.
and you need to trust yourself and your instincts on it because it's never wrong ever.
And you know what? Unfortunately, when they're really young, it's hard to actually have that confidence. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
I think that we have to teach our daughters and our nieces and our cousins at a very, very young age to just embrace something different. Don't necessarily have to feel like you have to be confined to the stereotypical job, or, you know, do something different. You may actually like it. You know what I mean? You don't have to
Mm.
be what society deems you to be. Do something different. Do something. I've always been like that, so I always embrace it. So I sometimes I don't necessarily understand when people don't just do something different. I'm always doing something different. I
Yeah.
have so many licenses and so many life experiences, and I embrace them all, you know, whether it's a life lesson or not. It's just, I always encourage somebody, just try it. Try a class that you wouldn't necessarily like, you know? And unfortunately, sorry, I have messages coming through. When it's not necessarily supported by your family, or you don't see it, like, where do you go? How do you even know that you want to do this? You know what I mean? So that's sometimes it's nice with social media to see like our face, like, you know what? We didn't start out as welders. I was this, that, and the other, you know what I mean? And then I found this and I kind of, this is what I want to be, you know what I mean? And it's evolved and I absolutely love it. 10 years in, I'm pretty well invested.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. Like, so you were saying like that you've tried so many different things. Like, I bet like some like the best experiences that you've ever had are like the bits where you're trying something completely different, or you're totally out of your comfort zone, or you don't quite know, or maybe you're doing something wrong and it pays off. You know, it's like those, like we grow most and we get the most back whenever we're doing something that's out of our comfort zone, you know?
Oh, sure. I was always like the black sheep of my family. So, I mean, I think I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter. She's 25 now. I was pulling a motor. So, so I was always doing something I probably shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I always encourage you to do something. It wasn't probably the smartest thing, but I absolutely loved it. But, you know, like, take a chance on yourself. And I can't like stress that enough when people say it, just like yourself. Take a chance on yourself. Be confident, you know? And I like the keep in touch with other women welders, like on Welding Women's Syndicate. I love you.
Exactly.
That was great. I love her.
Mhm.
She's the best. I love that. So let's see. How about the translation of when you are older? Um, I have two wonderful daughters, and I struggle to get them to hold a welding torch. They've been poisoned by society at large to conform to the stereotype. Interesting. Do you want to address that one? That's interesting. We're kind of talking about this, so this goes hand in hand.
Yeah, well, if they're really not interested, that's okay too. Because like welding is like we know that welding is cool and awesome and badass, and think everybody should do it. But like if it's genuinely not for everybody, and that's okay. Um, I mean, there's so much great content online right now of like badass women doing kick-ass stuff with welding involved, So like maybe you could send your daughters some links, or like just have it on your phone and just put it in their face, and maybe that might pique their interest. Um, but if it's not for them too, I mean, I think that's all right because we
Okay.
can all kick ass in our own ways.
Well, and also what they're saying is that they've been poisoned by society at large to conform. Well, I think I'm a parent, and so, you know, I've just basically told my kids, do whatever you want. You know, I'm going to support it. I may not like it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you will never know if you do not try, you know? Like, don't conform. Don't feel like you have to conform. And I think that we really, really need to um, keep that idea. very, very young age so that they don't have that issue. And just like you said, it may not be for them. Don't push them, but show them different aspects, artists, pipe welders, VR training, something that's going to actually spark their interest so that eventually maybe they will turn into a welder, maybe they will not. And that's okay. Of course, we want everybody to be a welder. Awesome. It is not for everybody. It's
Yeah. But Tiffany, that's a great point. Actually, there's so much range and scope in welding. Like, because I think if I was 16, I might not be interested in welding particularly because it's just like metal, and just big pipes and sheets of metal and squares and stuff, But like actually, when you see like people make like crazy kinetic sculptures that get
yes,
like twirl around in the wind, and or like you could be like underwater in a bell on the seabed, or like there's so much scope to it and so many interesting things. So I think if I saw some of that stuff, I'd be like, oh,
yes.
I have to be a
It's so interesting that, now that we have social media, we are exposed to so much. I can only imagine what my crazy ass would be doing if I had
welder.
what we have right now, because I certainly wouldn't be talking to somebody in Ireland. You know what I mean? Like this social media, if used, for the good, man,
Yeah.
what our kids have now is they can just see all over the world, but we just have to like gently prod them, gently prod them. And
Yeah.
I like what Lisa just said right now. She said, I don't think welding is specifically male at all. The steel does not care. It feels lovely and elegant to me. Me too. To me, it's very personal. Like, I don't want no one bothering me, and it's just me and the metal, and you just make it do what you want. It's interesting. I never was interested in like carpentry. Metal always had my heart in some form, either automotive or construction or structural. It's just so pretty to me. If
Yeah.
that weird, it doesn't seem male at all. It's very pretty. I know all the guys are probably like, sorry,
Yeah.
male or metal is sexy.
It is sexy, absolutely.
Lisa, she said, remember when men couldn't type? They still can't type. I love it. Oh, let's say Eliza says it was a blessing that Instagram came about so I could find my tribe of ladies. I love you, Eliza. That's the co-founder of the syndicate right there.
Hey, Eliza.
Love you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are interested in sending questions, this would be the time, perfect time, to send them through. This is Laura from Ireland. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Now let's see. How about, hold on. Man, you guys are quick. Best advice one of the trainers gave me: it's only metal. You're not going to hurt it. Jump in. Yeah,
Brilliant.
I love that. No,
Hey, Eliza. Hi.
I love it. So what do you think as far as like us, we got into the industry later in life. Do you think that it's different from a young girl? How does that translate to an older woman? What type of advice would you give her?
Um, I have thought about this, and like unfortunately I think some of the crap that goes with being a woman in a male dominated industry, I think I would have had a harder time if I left school and went straight into it. Genuinely, I do. Just like what I was saying before about everyone doubting you all the time, and then whenever you're brought up to doubt yourself, and I don't mean by specific people, I just mean sort of society.
Society, sure.
Yeah, I think I would have found that really, really hard. So you gotta remember why you're there and remember what it is about welding that really speaks to you and that you love. Keep that in mind and like find the joy in every single day of just doing it, of just working on the metal and working your magic. Um, yeah, just do your best to see that stuff for what it is. Um, yeah, like I've found like Instagram in particular, talking to awesome women like you, Tiffany,
Thank you.
that it's really been a lifeline for me because, like I said, in Ireland, I don't know. I know there are some female welders, but I actually don't know any personally.
Really?
So, yeah, yeah. So it's been just so good for me to talk to people like you and know that there's like a network here and to see, you know, we all kind of have the same struggles and the
Sure.
same triumphs, and so definitely take some inspiration from online and take that stuff to heart and know that you're capable and that you're worthy and you deserve to be there. No.
I think it's important, actually, like you're saying, just even if it's not physically, but find your tribe of that can actually relate. I think that was part of my problem because I had such different interests growing up that there was not very many women who wanted to work on cars or get dirty or build something. And so that was my problem. So it's nice with social media now that we can do this reach and we can be friends in Ireland and we can talk about, I mean, crazy. We have the same struggle, but we are here to support each other. So it's nice to have that girl tribe let you know, like, yeah, I'm going through that and it's okay. And we can, build each other up. It's very important, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was a really nice realization for me that you don't have to trade in any of your femininity
No,
because you work in a male dominated environment. Like you can still be exactly who you are. And that's actually really important to just being happy is your authenticity. Like I know at times when I would start in a new place, like you go into a new workshop or a site or whatever, and like just like people just stare at you, and it's not like people being creeps. It's like just like a different
they're like,
thing.
who are you? Yeah,
Yeah, it's like state your business,
right.
but like, see, like I know when I first started working as a welder, like you would feel super self-conscious and you, you nearly feel like you need to like mask some of your femininity to just be accepted or something.
Hmm.
But that's nonsense actually, and you're gonna get sort of looked at funny just for being there, just for existing.
For
So
example,
the sooner you can get past that and just be your most authentic self, the better. Because if you're inauthentic, you're gonna be unhappy. You can't sustain that shit. So if we reverse that, the flip side is to be happy, you got to be authentic to who you are. And if
that's
that's being feminine, that's part of it, then that's what you got to do.
yeah. That I never really thought of it that way. Like if you are not able to act like yourself, how are you even going to do your job? How are you going to be happy doing that job? And so that puts a negative connotation on welding. So be your damn self, people. Don't worry about it. Like you're there to weld just like everybody else. If you wear makeup, if you don't wear makeup, if you look like a boy, if you look like a girl, whatever, go there, do your job. Welding makes people happy. That's all we got to do. Be your authentic self. That is such great advice. You are a gem. I swear. I love it. I love it. Let me see. We have comments coming through. It says best advice one of the trainers gave me is it's only metal, you're not going to hurt it. Jump in. We read that one. Oh, Mike said, and this is one of my mentors, he said, any special certifications to weld where you're at? What type of certifications did you have to get in order to do the jobs that you do?
So it's a funny one. And maybe this isn't like super, I don't know, official, but like I've never actually been asked for my certs anywhere.
Right.
But you kind of tell them what, like employers will ring you up and ask you if you want to come in and test. So you go in and you do, it's always been like a 6G pipe test. So usually you would do stainless and carbon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so any new place I've started, I would do those tests. And if you can do those, then you're in.
It's the same.
So,
It's the same here.
oh,
Some people stress certifications, some people do not, but it seems most places are going to certify you either way. So, and it,
yeah.
it, it, it varies regionally, I've noticed at least.
Yeah, like in California, do you? Do you have to be certified? Like if you work in this workshop, you get certified there, and then if you work in a different workshop, you have to get certified there too.
It varies. Yeah, it seems every shop is going to certify you themselves. They don't necessarily accept your certification. Some people do. Some people require it before you can even put a foot in the door. But then they're still going to certify you. You know what I mean? According to whatever parameters that they're welding to.
Mm.
It's the same. Yeah. Ooh, how about this one? Do you think welders are paid the correct salary? That's kind of a general statement and shit. But in your location, do you think they're paid the correct salary?
It varies hugely, you know. So like the county where I learned to weld, Donegal, which is in the south of Ireland, most of the work there would be like in kind of like fab workshops and stuff. So you might be kind of doing assembly stuff with MIG or that, and they don't pay well
No.
at all. Sorry if there are any in Donegal that do. Sorry.
No.
But, no, it's not very well paid. So there are like two big sites in Ireland at the minute that are employing like tons. They're like screaming out for pipe welders, and they pay quite well. So it just really varies an awful lot, you know. Like you can kind of get stuck, or you can get on a sweet night shift and not do very many hours, but get loads of money. So it just depends.
It's the same out here. That was it. There's huge variables to that question. Let me see. It says being older can help with the thicker skin and self-security. I didn't go in until my mid-30s. I was urged away from trades, but it was the best decision to make even later. Training is all ages. Yes.
Yeah, completely.
Thick skin. Yes. Very, very important. For one, you get burned a lot.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, I know. I'm always burned. It's new students right now. It's all right. Thick skin. You know, I think that you just have to develop that when you're in any type of male-dominated industry, because there's always going to be something, you know, like that's any industry, but you're going to put yourself in an industry where you're now like, you're the weirdo, basically. Like, what does this woman think she's doing? I'm going to weld. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't think of it that way, but you definitely have to develop a thick skin. Have you had moments where you like, definitely put on that thicker skin and just kind of go in and do the job?
Yeah. You know, for the best part, like it, things are good, and most guys are, you know, cool that you're there, and they're on your side, and they're happy to see progress happening. And some aren't. They're luckily in the vast minority, and that's awesome. But yeah, sometimes it can really get to you, and especially if I was younger, it would really have got to me a lot more. So I'm in a way I'm glad that I started later in a way.
Blessing, right?
Um, you know, like God, Tiffany, sometimes um like maybe I'll come home and somebody will have just said something, or just, you know, it'll be one of these like offhand comments or whatever, and I'll come home and I'll, you know, I'll be like, oh, this arsehole, he said whatever. And it'll be something kind of minor, you know, and like whoever I'm talking to will be like, Jesus, Laura, like, you know, it's not really a big deal. But I think sometimes it can be the straw that breaks the camel's back of like, yeah, but I'm just used to these daily little things. It's just like, you know, death by a thousand cuts kind of just this little thing and that little thing. And sometimes it can really just make you think like, am I mad to be here? You know? Luckily that doesn't happen very often, and I really hope that in general that's getting better. And just having like a network like this syndicate, and you know, just like an Instagram community, it really helps, you know,
It
because I
helps
see the
become
bullshit that
friends.
everybody else is hit with too, and it's a lifeline.
I agree. Yeah, you know what? It's funny. Me and Eliza have actually had these type of conversations like ad nauseum. I think we develop such a thick skin at some point. We don't even realize that we're just being under fire on a daily basis. We kind of like water off a duck's back. It's no big deal. But then there's that one day you're having a headache. The welds look like ass. Your dog ate your sandal, and like someone says something. I know I've come home and I'm just like, mother effer, like, and it just
Yeah.
gets me off, and I'm like, what am I doing here? You question it, and I'm like, you know what? I have worked my ass off to get where I'm at, and I can't tell you how many friends I've lost, how many significant others I've lost, how many states I've crossed just to stay in welding, because at this point you're not going to deter me from my career. It's just not going to happen. You either love it or you don't, and because you have to endure crap like that. Like, there's always going to be those times when you're like, you question yourself. But I think when you're a little bit older, you're like, yeah, right, you're a little bit more confident. You're not as hot-headed, because I know if it was me in my 20s, I probably would beat everybody up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be in jail or something. You know what I mean?
But you're absolutely right, Tiffany, and like your attitude rocks on that. Like I think it's important to know that there are some people who they have a narrative running in their head that you don't belong there and that you aren't capable of doing your job. So anything that you do to challenge that notion, you can be banging out the best welds for 6 weeks and you can do no wrong. And anything that challenges that narrative that they're running, they disregard. But then if something messes up or you're having a crappy day or something, anything that reinforces that narrative for them, they pick up on straight away. So with people like that, it's like you're never going to win, and no matter how hard you work, you're not going to change that, and it's a waste of time. And I know this is much easier said than done, but they're not worth getting upset over. They exist. You're going to meet them from time to time, unfortunately, and the less you can let that affect you, the better.
That is so, oh my goodness, so true. We have had so many conversations like that. But at some point, especially if you're working with them, you have to question whether or not your mental health is actually this, like, okay, you can get better. You have this, you have the talent, you have the education, you have the experience, then move on. You do not have to subject yourself to that type. Yes, sure, you have to have a thick skin. We can't just jump at, every time somebody looks at us sideways, but at some point you also have to know that you are better than this and you have talent, and if someone's not going to accept it, you move the hell on. That is also okay. And we talk about this all the time, like earlier in the career, we don't necessarily think, and I'm talking about Eliza, because this is a conversation we just had. I don't necessarily think if we would have been in a position to just leave. Now, I had a shop. I was 100% involved with it. I'm not going to leave. I'm just that much invested. I was building, I owned it, I hired into it, I got all the vehicles there. So you can't just leave. I probably should have. But you actually have to question what's more important, for you to prove them wrong or to maintain your sanity at some point. I think sometimes we need to choose us more. You know what I mean? We have the skill. We do not have to prove it to anybody. We have the certification, the degrees, the experience, the welds. You know what I mean? Who are we proving it to? That's sometimes we have to figure out how much of the thick skin do we actually have to maintain.
Absolutely, you're totally right.
I hate that I'm right on that, though. It's personal experience
Yeah.
on that, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, look at it. Says, do you think that it's virtually impossible for young women to get into trade in general? Impossible? Absolutely not.
No.
Well, we see it all over the place.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we're totally in the minority, definitely. But I like it is creeping up because I was actually looking at the stats um, quite recently, and year on year, like it is creeping up. I was looking at the States and Canada, and like the numbers kind of vary depending on where you read. So you get between like 4% and like 7%. I don't know that it's that high, but they are creeping up. But then you do wonder, like, is it like young women who are leaving school, or is it women who have a career change like we did?
Sure.
Because I'm not sure.
That's true.
But like I said, so many women on Instagram that weld do a career change. Maybe they do it younger than we did, like, but so many of them. It's so interesting, you know. So I
Well,
wonder what the stats are like for like actual school leavers going straight into it
sure. Have you ever worked with another one
in the
welding?
trade.
Welding.
No,
They,
no, I haven't.
it,
I haven't, not yet.
we talk and we're welders, but then, I know there's a couple ladies in Arizona, they've had a, and recently I've actually have a class that has 4 ladies in the class. So that's huge. In 10 years, I've worked with one.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Isn't that
yeah.
crazy?
I know
Yeah.
some, but they're all over the world, like the
Yeah.
algorithm is changing, not necessarily as fast as I would like it to, but it is changing. The stats are definitely increasing. But what do you think that we could do, like with your training center? They necessarily market toward women? Did you actively see women when you were looking for a place to go to school?
I didn't know. I didn't, but it's so funny you bring that up because I was just thinking about that. So my training center about a year and a half ago. So it has 14 places, right? There are 14
Uh-huh.
welding bays. And about a year and a half ago, they ran the basic course. So from 14 places, they had 3 women. They had 3 women in, and that's crazy. And especially because this is like rural northwest Donegal, right up on the coast. Like it's far from Dublin or population centers as you can get. And like they had 3 women, and this just made my day. It was so cool.
I love that. I reach out to colleges and high schools actively. I actually see them highlighting a win. I will post it on my stories because I did not have that. I was just quote unquote weirdo and I just wanted to do some different stuff. It kind of just worked into my life, welding did. And so when I see them actually highlighting women, I think at least me personally, I like to see a woman do it so that I could sit there and kind of resonate. Well, like, she looks like me. We have similar background. I could do that too. You know what I mean? We don't necessarily have that. So when I see any type of institution highlighting women, I'm not discounting the men whatsoever. And I even told my students, I have 2 men in one of my classes and then 4 ladies. And I told them, I said, I'm not discounting the fact that you guys are here. I said, but it is huge to see 4 women in one class, especially I've been teaching at this institution for a year. And this is the first class with an almost all female dominant class. So I highlight it, and so I try to do the same thing for anybody else. If I see it, I like to highlight it and congratulate, ask them why. I mean, why would you highlight them? What's the mentality behind it? Because the algorithm is changing. They actively women want to see themselves on those pictures. They want to be in those positions, and they are, and they're starting to give them a little bit more of the limelight.
That's so well said, and it absolutely matters that you do that and that we all do that. Like, yeah, I think maybe in the last 6 months or so, I've made more of a concerted effort to actually think what matters to me, and it's that, like because if you can see it, you can be it.
Sure.
Visibility really, really matters, just in terms of changing people's thinking. So yeah, like I joined LinkedIn recently, and you do get a lot of like comments on there in particular for some reason of just like, yeah, but why are you making this a gender thing or whatever? And it's like, well, I'm not, like, I happen to be a welder and I'm a woman, and these are things that are important to me. And what I'm trying to do is what you're saying, Tiffany, is just to make that visible. And I would like you do kind of big up other women and try and showcase that as best I can, because it just matters. And of course, it doesn't take away from what men are doing. Of course it doesn't. You know, if I see a man doing an awesome weld, I'm liking the hell out of that stuff too, you know. But it just matters that that we let it be known that we're here and that this is an option for other women.
I think it's important to see them more. Oh, hold on. Look at Laura's welds are better than 99.9999% of all men.
Thank you. I don't know.
No, but it's absolutely true. But people don't necessarily realize that we are actively changing the algorithm when you champion for other women. And it's funny because it says that right on your profile, championing for women in trades. It's important, you know, like when you hear that conversation. No, I've never worked with women. I've never one woman in 10 years. I mean, so if we all do our part, maybe more women will have the opportunity to feel the satisfaction that we feel when we weld. Like it's probably one of the most satisfying things I've ever done, bar none. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could take it further, but I imagine you guys get it. Like way more satisfaction. I love it. It's just you and the weld pool. That's your friend, man.
Yeah. It is. It's pure magic.
Amazing advice. I'm reading your guys' stuff, I promise. Authenticity is key because it also helps to be secure in your decision. You know what? Even if you're not secure, you know what I mean? I think you took a chance, right? So were you 100% secure in that decision, or did you just kind of like, let's do this?
Yeah, it's all been on a wing and a prayer. I never really know like what's gonna happen, you know. And I remember before I left the training center, my instructor saying like, you know, you'll be like welding nomads, and I know that's the case for a lot of people, you know, that you kind of this comes and it goes, and you sort of go where the work is and that kind of thing. And yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, like so like at the minute I've been doing totally pipe welding, and I think I'm gonna maybe switch things up a little bit now and maybe look back into a bit of fabrication, that sort of thing. You know, I just want to shake it up and expand my horizons a wee bit. So yeah, it's never super secure. Like the good thing is that there's a huge amount of opportunity out there. Like so when I was an event manager, like I was good at my job and I worked hard, and you know, lots of people had a good thing to say about my work, but I was never headhunted. Like that never happened.
All right.
And since I've been welding, like people phone you up a lot and go like, "Do you want to work for me?" You know, and it's crazy, you know. So there
Bob
is
Moffat.
so much. What's that?
People like Bob Moffat giving you kudos.
Yay! Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so much like opportunity out there, and yeah, it does, you know, jobs come and jobs go quite quickly. So security isn't really a thing. So maybe it's not for you if that's super important to you, but it works for me. I like it.
Sure. And there, I mean, there's ways to diversify, you know, like you're gonna change things, go into fabrication. Like I love teaching myself, but I want to be okay. So I went to school for TIG welding. I don't like it. I know everybody gets mad when I say that. I don't like it. It doesn't speak to me the way like stick welding does. And I know I have to be like a beautiful TIG welder to do the pipes that I want to do. But I want to go back to school for pipe welding. I only had a brief education in it when I was in school, and I teach 101 introduction of it. But I want more, you know, like I always feel like I want more. I want to learn more. I want to challenge myself. So expand, you know, expand your skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much scope in it. You can do so many different things, you know, so you should
Yeah.
always be changing it up.
Oh, wow. Hello from Tunisia. Crazy. It says, I find that staying the same is something that is fundamental changing the school that I'm in right now. I watch some frustrated here, and it makes me uncomfortable, but I can to make. Yeah, I follow Lynn a lot. This lady, she's going through her schooling. Aw. I'm seriously beyond so fulfilled to find and keep these women in my social media algorithm. really important, especially if you're going through like some type of like hurdle. You know, like you said, it's important to have like that girl people to refer to, because you may not necessarily have it around you physically, but it's your phone, a text, a phone call, you know, whatever it is away. Um, do you have someone that you have as a mentor that helps, like that's that go-to person for you? And you don't have to say their name or anything like that, but do you have like that person that, you know, you're questioning something stainless, or you need to know something about a certain setting? Do you have that person that you go to?
Um, it depends on kind of where I'm working, you know, like tends to be like any workshop that I'm in, I'd have like my own lads that I go to that are like my Yoda dudes, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and you know, some of them kind of come and go or retire or whatever. But yeah, generally, and like that really matters too. To you know, when you start somewhere, to kind of strike up a rapport with
Sure.
somebody that you kind of resonate with, and that you can go to and ask.
Hold on, let me just. You know what? She said she cried. What was it? She cried. I cry at work sometimes. Don't worry about it. I'm a big crybaby.
Yeah.
I'm always crying. I think I cried on the last interview. I don't care. I'd be crying welding. I don't care.
Yeah, we're being real here.
Superpower, just like Lisa said, definitely happened.
Yeah.
What? I don't care. That's funny. You guys are funny. Death by a thousand cuts. Aw, it does hurt. It all piles up. I love that. She's talking about the thick skin.
Yeah.
Aw, you guys are in this one. I've needed this for 14 years of my career. These are a godsend. That's Eliza. It's important to have that, you know, even if you're not just building up a rapport at your job site, you know, somebody that you can go to actively and just kind of vent, you know, like, oh,
Mm.
you're going to have that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because there's so much to welding, you know, it's super applied and yeah, I on a daily basis I have so many questions and you know, you have so many silly moments where like your machine isn't working and then it's just like, yeah, you didn't earth it or Laura, it's not plugged in, you know, or like, you know, like the dumb stuff. So it is great to have people that will
Yes.
they'll review, but they'll help you, you know. Yeah.
We have a question. It says, how many inches do you weld per day in your shop?
Oh God, you know, it just varies so much because you know it could be like 40-inch pipe where you kind of you can get like stuck into it, you know, and you can just be kind of there working away, or there might be a lot of stopping and starting, like welders get moved around the shop a lot and pulled on and off things. So I don't have a good answer for that. Or it might be like
There's a
you
lot
have a
of
day where it's like loads of half-inch, you know, so you're like doing this, chucking it, you know, on the
right.
trolley, out it goes. So it just varies so much.
We have a comment. It says, Laura is a powerful girl in this construction industry, and I'm really proud of her. Aw.
Ah, thank you so much. That's awesome.
Guy, I don't even know how to say that. Wanu Emmanuel.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, Shannon, hi. She's one of my iron worker friends. I love this woman. I love
Oh,
her.
Deadly.
She's an iron worker. She's a badass.
Hey.
I'm scrolling through people. I promise. I'm trying to say hey. Oh, I'm late to the welding game at 43, but I regret nothing. Hell no, don't regret it. Enjoy it, embrace it, weld all the things, do all the processes, get in there. There's nothing to regret. There's only satisfaction and money to be made in this industry. Enjoy it.
And you know what? Like in your 40s, you still have like 2 decades to work. And 2 decades is too fucking long to be unhappy with what you do. You see, you
Absolutely.
gotta be happy at work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I know. I don't think I see too many people that are like, they may talk a little bit of like industry talk or, kind of smack a little bit, but most of them are happy, for the most part. And if they're not happy, I question, like, why do you even do this? What's the point? Do something else. What's the point in saying something that you are not happy? Oh,
Absolutely.
two of you guys are awesome. At 43 going in, you guys are badasses. 42 and 43 in welding school right now. How cool.
Awesome.
You guys are badasses. I love it. It says, I think it's fantastic there are more girls involved in trades like welding nowadays. Welding is more of a calling than a profession. An obsession, really. Well done, ladies. Thank you, Neil, Sean, Patrick Moore.
Oh, thanks, Niall. Awesome.
I don't know who it is, but thank you. What do you think that people, not necessarily, but what do you think schools or resource places could do to help advocate more for women?
That's a good one. I think it's kind of what you were saying about visibility, Tiffany, like that. So you have like four women in your course, so you just like share the shit out of that. I think that's what they need to do. Maybe like have tradeswomen go to schools and
Yes.
talk real talk to the kids and show that and bring some VR welders
Yeah,
and show them
I
that they
know
can
you
do
already have like my mind spinning on that one. Like, whew, you just changed the game, my dear. I promise you.
it.
Hmm.
Cool.
No, that's important. It's important for that visibility. Like
Mm.
I think we need to see, not necessarily just talk about it, but be in those positions of teaching, of business ownership in the schools, teaching the schools, advocating for it, teaching them at younger ages so that they know that that could be them. They could have a
Yeah,
visible representation of what they could be.
yeah, that's exactly it.
Oh, we're getting okay. It says, is respiratory protection as important in the USA as it is in the UK? And do they teach the students the importance of proper protection? How are they with PPE there? I imagine you should be stressing it everywhere, but uh-oh.
Yeah, so there's nothing specific. Like, if I'm right, there was legislation brought in the UK like in the last couple of years about you just gotta wear your PAPR unit. But like most of the places I work, well, like I'm self-employed, so I go in self-employed, and they have a lot of self-employed people. So your PPE is on you. So they don't really stipulate what it needs to be. I mean, personally, like I wear an airfed unit when when it suits to, and like I do it as much as I can. Sometimes like if you've a lot of uh putting your shield up and down, to kind of do different things, then I won't. But whenever I have like a big chunky bit of welding that I can kind of get my teeth into, I always keep it on.
Good.
Um, but yeah, it's not like really pushed or anything. No one's ever like given me grief in work about what I need to be wearing or anything. So
I will
it
give
seems
you
pretty
grief.
relaxed. Yeah,
Good.
good.
No, I mean, I think it's so important to stress it just because, I think sometimes we see representation that aren't necessarily feasible. And
Mhm.
people TIG welding this or working on aluminum, and you're like, where's your mask? Where's your ventilation? And I stress that to my students, like, you know, do you want to have lung cancer at the age of 30? Like it's very important. We have sisters now battling certain health issues, and I think it's so important to make sure, even obviously during COVID, we have to have certain measures in place, but even more so taking a step further, it's just important to protect yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I'm ginger and I like burn like under a light bulb.
Oh, really?
So Yeah, so like I always kind of get, I would have got the little triangle or that kind of stuff. So I'm super vigilant about it. And yeah, somebody's like, with tacking up and stuff, like you'd have like, pipe fitters there who are just like closing their eyes and holding a thing. You're just like, oh, just put on a mask just for me. Go on.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, it seems to be a lot of personal preference. I go more rather than less, like I have my safety glasses on all the time. Actually, so yeah, in my last workshop, they were big on that, and gloves, glasses and gloves were kind of mandatory.
Mm,
Um, but as for respiratory stuff, not really. Like barely anybody wore those. I
mhm.
I did, yeah.
What type of unit do you have?
My airfed unit, it's an Optrail Panoramics.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I do really love those. So I got the Panoramics a few years ago, and I just loved it so much. Like it sits kind of right on your nose, like right back here. So
Mhm.
you have this full field of vision, like the whole way around. So like nobody's sneaking up on you. It's really, really cool. You can see super clear. It
Mhm.
has like a grind button just here. So like you don't even need to lift your mask. You know, if you're doing a lot of like weld grind, you can just like tap it and keep your mask down because you can see so clearly. I love it for that. So they brought out like more up to date models like the crystal and stuff, but actually I just loved the panoramics so much that I just bought that again as an airfed unit. And they've
Mhm.
brought out newer ones since, like, so I really like those.
Love it. Love it. I know one of my friends, they have the Miller unit, and I always ask them about like the weight of it because after 10 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours of work, you do not want to have that extra weight on you. But that's always a question, is it heavy? How does it, does it affect you after so long? I guess imagine you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, so those Optra ones are so light, like they're super duper light. They actually, I don't have it here. What? Um, they just brought out new headgear as well,
Oh,
which
cool.
is like really. So this is not sponsored, I might add, but like
But it
yeah,
could,
and this.
girl, get at Laura.
So yeah, um,
That looks
yeah,
comfortable.
it's super light and super comfortable and like really soft and flexible. Um, So like I can keep my helmet on like all day and it's not a problem, you know. And yeah, like I mean there's so much different good gear out there. There really is. All these companies are really up on their games and a lot of it's personal preference. So yeah, shop around, try things out and see what works for you.
Right. Definitely. I don't know what time it is right now. What time are we at?
Ooh,
I know you're
it what time is it? Oh wow, it's 9:23, Christ.
happening. Oh my goodness. I was trying to stay to an hour. I promise you guys. I know. I have so much more I want to ask. So we're gonna have to probably do a revisit on this. But um I just what, honestly, I feel so honored to be able to talk to you. Like you have such amazing work and you've just been a huge blessing just talking to you. Like you have my mind spinning on so many things right now. I did not even anticipate that happening. I appreciate that, especially with the VR. And I appreciate that. What is one thing that you would like people to take from you as we're going to exit the conversation?
Whoa.
No pressure.
Okay, so one thing that is super important that we just touched on, Tiffany, is that whatever your thing is that you do, that you gotta love it. Whether that's welding or whether that's something else. And if you're 43 and you're starting something new, you still have a long time to work. So you gotta seek out that passion, and that might mean trying different things and not being sure about different things, but trust your gut on it. And if you have a niggling feeling that you want to try something or something might be for you, like you got to chase it.
Yes. Love that. Love that. Regardless of whatever it is. Absolutely love that. Well, I appreciate your time. It's probably time for bed now.
No, actually, it's time for a Mai Tai because it's Friday night.
Yes, Friday. My goodness. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate the patience in getting us to get to scheduling, and I hope we could do a revisit soon because there's so much more I want to ask you, but I don't want to keep you too long. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next conversation.
Tiffany, thank you so much. It really is an honor to be asked to do this. You're such a badass, and
Oh, stop.
I really appreciate like the fact that you're doing this syndicate and that you're making things so visible and you're just being a champion for tradeswomen. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, girl. And I will keep in
All right.
contact. I'm gonna still contact you as far as the VR because I have more questions.
Yeah, sure thing. Hit me up anytime at all. And thank you guys for tuning in too.
Yeah, I will talk to you soon then, girl. Have a good night.
Okay. Thanks, Tiffany.
Bye.
Bye.